Alright, hello and welcome once again to the Paranormal NightStalker. I am Joel Walling. And of course with me as always is Michael Smith. And tonight, well, I'm going to complain. Because we actually had somebody scheduled for tonight. And the guy, I won't say his name because frankly I don't remember it. But he runs iGhost Connect and iGhost Investigations and an iGhost YouTube channel. All of it's brand new. It looks like he started in maybe August. We were trying to help him out, figuring, hey, it'd be cool to get him on here and be able to talk what he's doing, try to get him some more attention, because we're going to be sharing this on the Paranormal NightStalker Facebook page, the Paranormal NightStalker YouTube page, the PNBC YouTube page, and it's going to reach about 70, 80,000 people. And we thought, hey, if we help him out with this, he'll be able to get some more people into the site, get more people onto his page. He's only got about I think he's got 100 or 200 likes on it or whatever. Yeah, but apparently after he confirmed last week and confirmed again this morning at 9:35 my time that he was going to be here, that was the last I heard from him. And I've been trying to get in touch with him ever since, and he's ignoring me. He says, oh, I'm not on Facebook very much, yet I see him commenting on groups that we're part of, and I see the green dot on his picture where he's online. So apparently we were not, our time wasn't important enough for him to respond to it, so, oh well, he's no longer invited, just to put it bluntly. You know, I had another person that I did that with. I've sent them a thing. I was going, hey, do you guys want to come on there again? Starting a new Facebook page. I thought, hey, this is a cool idea. I thought it'd be great. I thought it'd be interesting to have on. They've got like 200 likes on this page. I'm thinking, hey, we've got almost 5,000. When you put PNBC in with it, we've got over 6,000 likes. Maybe our 6,000 people share an interest in what you're trying to do. 2 weeks ago by, they say, oh, we'll be in contact with you within 24 hours. I haven't heard from them since. So again, they're not invited. If my time's not worth at least a message to say, sorry, I can't do it, then, fuck you. It's the only way I can put it. That's it, So, enough about
there
that.
goes, and there goes the PG rating.
Well, I mean, I think you can slide in one or two per PG rating. It's not like when we were kids, when we were young. If you said poop, you said poop, that was getting you an R rating. Well,
I remember hearing it. I don't remember if it was one of the comedians, and I think I don't remember. I won't say because I don't remember the older comedians. There's something about an actress and she swallowed a bunch of pins and it was 10 years before she felt the prick or something like that. And they actually came off the air as soon as he said it. He was black. He was gone.
Yep, that was a little too close.
It was a little bit too close for comfort. I mean, you had the censors and stuff back then. I mean, you'd see a character get out of bed, and man and wife slept separate, and the guy got up and he'd be in full pajamas and then get up and put on a bathrobe.
Yep. And that's, I always thought that was hilarious. And I actually asked my mom that one time. I thought it was hilarious, the fact that no husband and wife actually slept in the same bed. They slept in the same room, but they had twin beds. And
they couldn't show it.
And she's like, well, they couldn't show it. And she was like, and also they weren't really married, so they thought that was a big no-no. But then they did the same thing with Lucy, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz and I Love Lucy. They slept in separate beds, and they actually were married. They actually were husband and wife. And, I always thought it, like I said, I thought it was hilarious that, it's what we see now. And of course now it's completely different. They've had, nudity on television. There's cursing on television. Movies now are a lot more graphic than they used to be. I mean, the 80s slasher and the 80s horror movies, they were big on, tits and everything, but, there still wasn't, I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
One of them I think about all the time is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they talk about how horribly graphic that movie was. And the original Texas Chainsaw that was a bit of a tongue twister, and I kept on coming out like that. But anyway, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Do you realize there was less than 2 gallons of blood used in the entire film?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, less than 2 gallons of fake blood was used in the entire film, yet is considered one of the most graphic movies of its time.
But yeah, I mean, you got to think. I mean, and some of those older films were either even the ones that weren't gory or just quite suspenseful. I mean, like there was one I think called "The Town That Dreaded Sundown."
You know, somewhere I think I have seen that one.
And they never did show who the guy was. They never caught him. But the fact you didn't know who he was in this town, and at the end it just showed people in line at a movie theater. And all it just shows feet. Just shoes. And it's one of these person killers. He behind you right now and whatever. We don't know because he was never caught.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
That was the old style of cinema. You think about like the Alfred Hitchcock and that stuff. Hitchcock had a way of writing things and filming them that really implants things into your brain. I can't remember how many people I've actually had this discussion with, and it's a couple of times actually turned in like a full-blown argument about the shower scene from Psycho. That was one of the biggest scenes of all time. Everybody knows that scene. It's been parodied, it's been copied, it's been redone. That shower scene with Janet Leigh is just one of the Hollywood scenes that is just scarred into our brain and our psyche.
It even scared her.
People talk about how, you see the knife plunging into her and you see her naked, and it was one of the first times nudity had been in movie, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, no you don't. Yes you do. No you don't. I've seen Psycho dozens of times. I love Psycho. Psycho is one of my favorite movies of all time. There is not one bit of nudity, and you never once see the knife actually enter her body. You see the silhouette of the knife come up, her scream. You see it come down, and you see it come down, and you see it come down. And that's it. But the way that movie was shot was such masterful and such grace and perfection. And that scene, the mix of her terror and that scream and the shadow and the way everything was shot, it created this image in your head. It's not there in the film, but it was so perfectly portrayed that it created an image in everyone that saw it, and it's scarred in. And they don't make movies like that anymore. The art of that art of filmmaking is gone. It is dead, it is buried, and it will never be seen again. Sadly. No, did I lose you?
Yeah, that's true. No, I'm here.
Okay.
I thought we had a comment come up. I don't think we did. I thought I saw something pop up.
No, I'm looking. Unless you're on something else, I'm in the chat. I don't see anything.
I thought I saw something on Facebook come up, but maybe not. Anyway, I don't know if it's true or not, but I'd heard that even after the movie, that she didn't take showers after that.
Well, I have heard that too, and I can actually see that because a lot of the times, they used real fear, and that's something else that is not used very much. Oh Lord, his name is escaping me. I think his first name's Kane, but it's the guy that plays. He played Jason Voorhees in the original Friday the 13th, and if I'm not mistaken. No, it wasn't. Sorry. I know he played Jason, and I'm going to just stick with that. But he's also in a new series of films called Hatchet. And there are two things that he does specifically for his parts. One is he is never seen without the full costume on. And also, like when the girls are running through the woods or whatever from him as Jason, the director just goes, run that way, and points. And they go that way. They have no clue where he is. They have no clue what he's going to do. So when you see them like scream when he first comes out, that's all real. You know, it's like they know he's going to jump out and scare them at some point, but it's that anticipation growing, and then boom, there he is. Because I actually saw one of the outtakes for Hatchet. It was funny because he scared one of the girls to a point that she almost passed out, and she's just like laying on the ground crying. And he actually broke character and was like, "Come here, it's okay," just you know. And he's like rubbing her head, talking to her. And it was one of the rare times he actually broke character, but he actually scared her so bad she almost passed out.
Well, you know, I mean, I can see that. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was just kind of giving you a break. No, it was just I didn't know it like came through for a second and then stopped. We're not having bad connections actually, and everything seems to be going fine. But nope. Anyway,
I know. I remember years ago, one of the jobs I had required people to stay overnight, bunk room type situation, and we had all just watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Well, one of the guys went out and procured a chainsaw. He walked into the bunk room, and he was backlit. And he fired that chainsaw up, and like they gave us all a heart attack.
I bet.
Because we had just watched it. And if you've never heard of chainsaw inside,
oh Lord, they're loud.
I mean, there were people going diving for cover,
jumping out windows, breaking through walls.
Well, I can't really say what kind of work I was doing then, but he was lucky he didn't get ventilated. You know, but yeah, it was interesting. There was some harsh language after that was over with.
I bet there was. Well, that had to have been hilarious to have seen.
Oh yeah, it was different.
It was funny as long as it didn't happen to you. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah. I could appreciate the humor in it, but I would, you know.
But you were one of the people jumping out the window, so it wasn't very funny to you at the time.
Well, I was one of the people reaching, so no, it wasn't funny at all.
Oh, so you were one of the people where it was like, well, you done come about a foot and a half from meeting your maker.
Yeah, he realized what he had done. He turned the light on. Whoa, everybody calm down. It was a good thing. There were two or three of us, and we were steadily reaching. So, yeah, it was interesting.
So, like I said, we kind of had
You said, well, you guys had a bit of an adventure.
Well, yeah, like I said, we had a guest, but then they didn't show up. So, you know, like I said, but so I was going to go into some of the other stuff. We were going to cover I can't talk. Cover, yeah, I kept on wanting to say color. Like I'm going to sit down with a coloring book, but okay, we were going to cover at a later time. But I guess this is as good a time as any because you all will be able to see this video hopefully tomorrow. I'm planning to have it done tomorrow night and upload it on PNBC's Facebook page, which you can find at www.paranormalbc. It will also be on the website at, I keep on wanting to do the @ sign because it's the same as the Facebook, but it's www.paranormalbc.com. And as I put in the description, me and the guys went, in the words of the great Bobo, and I wish I could remember his last name, but I don't. But Bobo, we went a squatchin'. We actually went out last night looking for Bigfoot. And as I'm sure all of you, or most of you know, I live in the extreme Pacific Northwest. I live almost in Alaska and British Columbia, Canada. So we went out to a very remote area. And first off, I want to say that I still haven't gone through a lot of the video. I went through a little bit of the video, but not a lot of the video, and I don't have it set in chronological order, so I don't know exactly what times the videos were taken, so I'm still looking. But I saw what could have been one of the most incredible sights of all time I've ever seen in my life. Like I said, we were literally out in in the middle of nowhere. This is like a back roads 4x4 only, 4x4 or quad. You need some type of vehicle like that. And there are parts I don't even know if a quad would make it, like a quad or a three-wheeler. I don't, because some of those are steep. There's rocks flying everywhere. I don't know if I would take a quad up it or not. But so we were out in a 4x4, and we're literally out in the middle of nowhere. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour to get where we are, which granted, we're not moving very fast. This is a really treacherous road. But we are up on the side of this mountain, and I was literally high enough that we were stuck in between day and night. To my left was the moon and stars, and to my right was a blue sky and the sun. And like I said, it was one of the most incredible sights I've ever seen in my entire life. And I hope the pictures do it justice. I honest to God do. Because I don't think we would ever get that sight again. I think we just happened to be there at the exact right time. It didn't last long. It was that the sun was setting behind the mountains. And there are parts of the mountains here that the sun never completely sets. During the summer and spring, summer, and early fall, the sun doesn't completely set. If you're high enough up, you see the sun. And this is so we're still in that time, sort of. And I guess we were high enough up that the moon was actually coming up before the sun had completely set. Like I said, we were just in the land in between day and night. And like I said, I hope to God the pictures do it justice, because it was one of the most incredible sights I'd ever seen in my life. But now back to the Squatchin story. This oh, sorry about that. If there is any place around that is actually going to have any kind of Bigfoot activity, this is probably going to be it. Like I said, it is a very, very remote area. It's about a 45-minute drive by four-wheel drive, and it's just, like I said, it's really, I think it's maybe 20 to 25 kilometers, so about 10 to 12 miles from anything. Even the closest house. And it's just something that, like I said, if there's a chance of anything being seen, it's there. And I've been thinking for a while about a possibility of one of the reasons Bigfoot being so difficult to find, so to speak, is that it is a migratory animal, that it travels. And it actually it travels through the area, and basically it goes to the same spots. It moves during the summer and the winter. It basically it does like a bird. During the summer you might find it up in Alaska, but during the winter you're going to find it further south, down in here into British Columbia and probably upstate Washington and places like that. Because every year around the same time, we start getting reports. People start, start doing the sending us clips and sending us messages, things like that. Normally, it starts in a place called Morristown. Sorry, got a little something in my throat. But it starts in a place called Morristown, and then it'll move into the Nass Valley, which is right outside of Terrace, and then it comes here. Now, I personally have heard what I would think is a Bigfoot yelling here. I've personally heard that. Morristown, if you go onto YouTube and look up Morristown Bigfoot, you will find the videos from it. They're incredible. And actually, this is the first time Dan himself actually heard a Bigfoot call. Not like in the wild. Regrettably, we did not get a Bigfoot call. But just on video or something. And he heard these, and he's like... apparently the guy that recently sued the British Columbia government to try to prove Bigfoot exists, he is offering a $1 million reward for anyone with definitive proof of Bigfoot's existence. Well, $1 billion is a very good incentive to do something. I mean, wouldn't you think?
Is that Todd? Excuse me. Is that Todd Standing?
I believe so.
I'm not sure of that. I know. I think that's right, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I believe that's the guy's name. He actually has a documentary on Netflix where he's got, I'm going to put it right out there, if he didn't fake the stuff, which I'm not saying he did or he didn't. I mean, I can't say that for certain because I don't know. I wasn't there. But if he did not fake the stuff, the videos and the pictures he put out are absolutely incredible. I mean, if he can, I really hate to be like that because, like I said, I can't say he faked it. I don't know. It wasn't there. And I want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. I mean, let's face it. We've done paranormal investigating now for quite some time. And how many times have we put out something that we know wasn't faked? That we have no way of knowing what it is, and somebody, oh, well, you did this or you did that. So, I know I mean, we're in the same boat with the guy. I understand. That's why I don't want to say it, but that's why I'm saying that if he isn't, then he has got amazing footage. And I mean, these are like high definition, crystal clear images of a creature that is unknown, and they are quite spectacular. I mean, granted, it would be easier enough now for us to put people in suits and do makeup and stuff like that and have those things, but at the same time, did he really take a Hollywood level film crew and makeup artist out into the middle of nowhere to fake a Bigfoot video? I mean, what's the end plan there?
I feel like it would be counterproductive and difficult to pull off.
Extraordinarily difficult. I would think extraordinarily difficult because, believe me, like I said, for us to get, and this is not even as remote as we can go, it takes us a good 45 minutes to an hour in a four-wheel drive truck to get out here. So you think you take 45 minutes to an hour to drive out there, then you probably got, and remember now, makeup is not, this ain't like your girlfriend putting on makeup. Or the girls out there that are listening, it ain't like you putting on makeup, in the morning, where it takes you,
this
maybe,
is prosthetic.
Yeah. This is prosthetics that take up to 6 and 7 hours. Yeah, it takes, I think some of them I have heard, well, I think the longest one I've heard in recent memory is Rebecca Romijn, who played Mystique in the X-Men series. She would have to go sometimes into makeup for 12 hours to do the blue scenes.
I can imagine.
I couldn't do that.
I can't imagine something like that. But
I mean, of course they do.
I know. Talking about you guys going out in the woods. I mean, I hate to give away too much personal information, but I know you have a hard time going to the bathroom sometimes from the couch. So
Yeah.
so you trekking down in the middle of
Oh
the
yeah. Oh,
not going to be a
it's yeah. It's no
was a
secret. I
bear.
got I got bad knees and bad ankles. So me, I think it was a couple of weeks ago when we had Danny on the show. We were talking about doing the zombie walk, and I'm like, "Hey, I've got the zombie walk part down pat." And he's like, "Yes, you do, because I do walk like a zombie." I mean, I've got a horrible limp, and one knee doesn't really bend all that well anymore. I've got two screwed up ankles, So yeah, the only other person who would possibly be able to be a Bigfoot would be Roy, and while he doesn't really move like me, he'd still be pretty obvious. And like I said, to stand out, to set out in the middle of nowhere and do makeup for 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 hours, I just don't see it. I really don't.
Like a
That's just
for a 30-second or a second video clip.
yeah, it
Just
does not
doesn't
make
seem
any
to me
sense to me.
would be and we've heard calls. I mean, we actually called the BF on one of
Yeah,
the calls that we heard.
actually, that one was
We
from
listened to
Morristown.
we listened to the audio on that, and we sent that into them, and they had some of their people analyze it, and they even said they thought it might be a Bigfoot. So,
No, sorry, that was not Morristown. That was Kincolith. Sorry
yeah, I
about
think
that.
so. I think
No, yeah,
so.
it was Kincolith because it was a friend of. Well, actually, he's one of my wife's cousin, but he's a friend of mine, and so it was a friend of his. He because they had somehow and I ended up with the clip, and I actually messaged them and asked, "Hey, you mind if we send this, to some people?" And they were absolutely go for it, go for it. Which actually brings a neat thing because, like I said, I've looked at it and I've noticed that in the time, it seems like it moves to me because every year we get around the same time we start getting. No, I'm wrong. Morristown's usually last. It's usually here, then Morristown. Okay. It usually goes Kincolith, or the Nass Valley. The Nass Valley is made up of Kincolith, New Anch, Greenville, and I think there's a third village, and I'm sorry if I'm forgetting that. But anyway, they seem to have the most activity during the early fall, I guess you'd say late summer now, because we are having a early fall. We've been having it now for about a week and a half, where basically once the sun goes down, it's freezing, and I mean really freezing out here. Last night I was out and I totally forgot it was nice when I left, so I was like, "Hey, no problem." I didn't bring a jacket or anything. And by the time I got back, I was a ice cube pack practically. But they actually have their first report in Kincolith of the year. It happened maybe 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. There was yells and pounding on one of the people's houses. And it's kind of strange that,
Really?
yeah, there was actually pounding on the house. And
Well, no, that's been reported in places that
needless, yeah,
Bigfoots or ever would do that behavior.
you got to think they're territorial. Because, like I said, one of the biggest reports, and this is actually from one, if I'm not mistaken, it's from the person that sent us the clip from Kincolith. I think it was maybe, 2 years ago now? Or 3?
Yeah, I think so.
It was 2 or 3 years ago now.
I don't remember. It was at least two.
Yeah, it was at least, I'm thinking 2. I'm really leaning toward 2, but it could have been 3, just to be on the safe side. But I'm thinking it was 2 years ago. They, when they sent that clip in, they actually said that there were sightings of, I believe, this actually shows it was earlier fall, late summer, because there were bears out still. And there was a bear a wolf and another animal, I can't remember what it was, seen running almost side by side out of the woods. The only time
It takes a lot
animals,
to bear run.
the only time those type of animals run is, like you said, when it takes a lot to make them run. There's not much that they're afraid of. But the only time that they would ever run together is a fire. And that's what they went looking for. They thought they had a forest fire. But there was no fire. Oh, sorry about that. Nose is starting to run. But yeah, there was no fire, no anything like that. Yet the animals, and they were also seeing like Wolverine ran out of the forest. And if anybody knows anything about a Wolverine, those creatures do not run from shit. They will take on a bear. They will take on a wolf. They will take down a whole male moose. One little Wolverine. Those things have bad attitudes, and they can back it up. I have seen one, actually, not, I've seen it in video, but I've actually seen a Wolverine chase a deer, or chase a wolf pack off of fresh killed deer. It chased 4 wolves off of a deer. That's how bad these things are. So to see one run, it was running from something. It had to be some power there. And that's when these calls started up and all of this. Now this year, they had the pounding on the side of the house. They did say there were tracks. I don't know if they tried to cast them. I have no idea of any of that, because he was actually telling me he could get me more information. If we could come up there, but the timing was just it was bad, because there's also rain. That would have meant we pretty much would have had to have ran there, and it is about a 3-hour drive. So just running up to King Colas is not really an option, sadly. I would love it if it was, because I actually love the lava beds and all the stuff leading up there. I go up there every chance I get. Any excuse in the world to do it, I'll go up there, because it's just a beautiful, beautiful place. But that's the one that I've been hearing. That's my newest report. Now, here in Kitimat Village, where I'm at, Bigfoot is basically not looked at as a mythological creature or cryptozoology or any of that. It's actually pretty much accepted as fact. It figures strongly into the Heisla legends and the Heisla cultures and that kind of stuff. Actually, my wife was just reading a book. They're filming a movie here right now called Monkey Beach, and we have the book, and she was reading it, and she was talking about how they were talking about Bigfoot in it. And it actually has the Heisla word for it, and I can't remember it now. Of course, that's probably a good thing, because I would have slaughtered it had I tried to actually read it. But I was actually told today that I told the person where we had went, and they said, "Well, yeah, you'll probably run into something up there." He's like, "That's a good idea." He's like, "But that's not where the Bigfoots have been seen." And I'm like, okay. Now, whenever someone says, "But that's not where they've been seen," that gets your full undivided attention. By all means, where have they been seen? Apparently, there is an area, access road, right as you come into the village, where Bigfoots, I guess you would say. I guess it would be foots rather than feet, wouldn't it?
Yeah, or Bigfoot. It's probably just Bigfoot without the S.
Oh, so it's like the goose. A group of goose are still, or not geese, but a group of moose are still just moose.
Yeah, I think so.
The plural for moose is moose. So a Bigfoot would be just Bigfoot rather than big feet or anything like that. It is more one. Anyway. Or Bigfootses.
Bigfootses, yeah.
That's what we could do. Only was just big feets. Big feets. There we go.
Big feet.
Yeah. That's the Big Feets family. But anyway, they said that the Bigfoot have been spotted there, and he himself personally has heard one yell. And frankly, it scared the hell out of the people he was with, and they all got in their car and left. They were taking it
And
for a Jeep.
far is that? How far is that from your house?
Not very. We live kind of central to everything in the village, pretty
So
much.
you're driving an hour and something to get to the middle of nowhere when you could have drove 10 minutes from your house and got there.
Well, no, he said that you had to go up the service road, and he said they went for about 15 or 20 minutes before
Well,
it got too rough for the person they were with, their Jeep, to make it. They didn't trust their Jeep going up any further, so they
I know
stopped.
you, I know you guys have got some trail camps coming in.
Yes, and that's going to be, like I said, tomorrow, hopefully on the PNBC page on Facebook at PNBC, or at Paranormal BC, not PNBC. I keep doing that wrong. The site is www.paranormalbc.com, and the Facebook page is www.facebook.com/paranormalbc. We should be having the, I guess you'd say, preliminary Bigfoot investigation. I do actually go out and I do my best Bobo. I don't do the yell because, well, one, I smoke and I'd probably been like so I don't think it would ever hurt me. And so, and another thing, I couldn't exactly get how the sound ended in my head, so I knew if I couldn't get it right in my head, I couldn't get it out of my voice. So I did the only thing that I knew I could do. I grabbed some stick and started beating on stuff. I actually bruised the in between two of my fingers because it didn't seem like it was echoing enough, and I wanted it to just go as far as I could. And I was holding one big stick and I was hitting it with a smaller stick. I was real scientific on this one. I took the big stick and I hit it with the little stick. But
That didn't sound right to me. But maybe
well, I hope it comes out well on the other end of this. But anyway, like I said, I was sitting there whacking on a stick, and I was like, it didn't have enough of an echo. I didn't hear the sound, so I just really just laid into it as hard as I could and hit, and I actually bruised between my middle and my ring finger on my right hand.
well, do you think maybe if you'd have been doing that the other way around, that wouldn't have happened?
Hitting the big stick with the little stick?
You hit the little stick with the big stick,
Yeah.
is what you said. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the little stick, and the little stick's about cane size, and the big stick is like 6 feet tall, or 6 feet long. It's staff size. And then I got one about 8 feet. I didn't bring my biggest stick. I've got lots of sticks. And it just
I know
doesn't matter.
Danny said he wanted to find Bigfoot. I imagine that if you ever heard one yell up close, you'd probably be heading for the truck. I'd be heading for the truck.
It's creepy. I'm going to tell you that right now. I've heard it at least. Okay, story time. So this is probably 2003, and we live in a kind of wooded area in Ohio, around Cincinnati, Ohio. I'd been in a pretty significant car accident and was pretty much disabled, so I was living with my mom and my little brother, which there's 9 years difference between me and my little brother. But I'm laying half asleep. I think we were actually playing a video game or something, and we're both like getting ready to stop for the night. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And all of a sudden we hear this yell. It's long and deep, and it just echoes off of everything. It's horrible. It sounds like a scream of pure agony. And needless to say, we jump up and what the hell was that? So we're not wanting to go outside to figure out. But we've got big flashlights, and we're shining because we lived facing my room faced the woods, and we were shining flashlights into the woods. And maybe 2-3 minutes later, this yell had happened again, and it happened again, and it happened again, and it happened again, and then it stopped. So the next morning, we're talking to my mom, and I was like, And my little brother had gotten up before me, and he goes in and he's talking to her, and I come in, and she was like, "So you all had some kind of weird yelling outside last night?" I was like, "It's the damnedest thing I ever heard. I still can't explain. I don't know what the hell it was. I've never heard anything like that before in my life. It had to be an animal, because I could hear the pressure, the air coming out of the lungs. But it was like one yell would last for 20 seconds. And any of you guys sitting right now, don't try to yell, because if you yell for 20 seconds, if you're neighbors or whatever, they're going to think you're crazy. But just try to exhale for 20 seconds. You run out of air quick. This thing had enough air to keep going. So we talked, about it. And, well, I wonder what it was about. I hope the poor thing is out of its misery, because we assumed it had to be a hurt animal. We're thinking maybe a deer or something like that got hit by a car or something, and it was trying to move and trying to get away. So we just go on from there, and we don't think anything of it. So this is on the weekend. The next night, about the same time, doing the same thing, there's that yell again. It happened for 4 straight days at almost the same time. Every night, this same yell for the same amount of time. It would always happen, and it would happen every couple of minutes for about 15 minutes. Every night for 4 days.
Did anybody else report hearing it?
We asked neighbors. A couple of them did say they heard something, but they didn't know what the hell it was. It never made any news. I've looked for Bigfoot sightings since then, or Bigfoot sounds, and I found a ton for Cincinnati, Ohio. I didn't think there was any in the Cincinnati area, but I was apparently quite wrong. There are several in Cincinnati sightings. But yeah, this one was never listed, as far as I could tell, because none of the time period matches up. Of course, I might also be wrong too. Like I said, I was hurt pretty bad in that wreck, and that was one of my many times of almost dying. So I could honestly have gotten my dates mixed up. That, now listening to it, of course, you also got to remember this was in 2000, like I said, 2002, I believe, 2002 or 2003. This was also in the infancy of the internet, and if I'm not mistaken, YouTube was either in its very infancy or had not even been launched yet. So there was no going on YouTube and looking it up.
People nowadays got it too easy, because they can go online and look stuff up. We used to have to go to libraries and check out books and order books and look at microfiche.
And if you didn't know somebody with a recording, if you're looking for something like that, you didn't get it. You didn't get it.
No. I remember having to go through doing research on stuff and having to go through the archives of newspapers, because the newspapers keep every copy. Back when newspapers were actually being sold, newspapers kept a copy of every paper they ever put out.
Yeah.
And there's these big thick books with every
page
edition
of every issue made.
And I'm going through these old tomes of books and digging out, looking for names and dates, and you go in there with a legal pad and a pen at 9 o'clock in the morning, and you might leave at 5 o'clock in the afternoon when they close down, and you might take a half hour for lunch or something. But otherwise, you're in there digging through paperwork.
Yeah, so that was, that at that time it was still pretty much that way. You just couldn't like Google it or jump on YouTube and see what you could, see if you could hear one or whatever. So there was no way for me matching it up or knowing that's what I was hearing. Now, like I said, now that I've heard them before, it's like that's what we were hearing. So now we move, to here. It's been what, 15 years since that day. 15 to 16 years since then. And I heard what is now my second one, I believe, because this was actually in Morristown, where I was talking about earlier. Morristown is a good gas spot between here and Prince George. It's the last stop, basically, before the final trek home. So we stopped there. We're getting gas. We had been to Prince George, and kids have gone in to get snacks and everything. We're all getting back in the car. I'm putting the lid on the gas tank and everything, and it's starting to get in, and all of a sudden, almost that same kind of yell starts up. Me and my wife freeze dead in our tracks, and she looks at me, she's like, "Did you hear that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I heard it." It was just, and the thing, and this was the weird thing. Morristown is very small. It's a very small native reserve. Very small. We're talking, I think there's maybe 500 people in it. 500 to 1,000 people, if it's lucky. So, needless to say, we're going through there like right before the gas station closes. It's like 9:30 at night. And there ain't nobody around. That place is dead. They rolled the streets up. The lights are out. Everybody's in bed. Not a sound. You could hear everything. There wasn't a sound until this thing started. As soon as it let out its first yell, every dog in that town started barking. You could hear nothing but dogs barking forever. Until it yelled again and every dog went stone dead quiet.
Yeah, they're all hiding somewhere.
And then when it would stop yelling, they get their guts back up and they'd start barking again. And then as soon as it would yell, boom. Nope, they were done. Now we go to, what was it, last year?
Last year.
I think it was last year. I was sent.
Yeah.
Another thing that I don't make any secret about is the fact I have insomnia. I'm up very late. So I was going out, and I also make no secret about the fact I smoke. So I'm going outside to have my last smoke of the night, and it's got to be 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. I stand out there, and I'm lit my cigarette, and I'm starting to smoke. As soon as I take the first draw, in the distance, I hear that yell, and I'm like, holy crap. So I grab my phone, and I start to hit record, and as soon as I start to hit record, the compressor for the refrigerator unit across the street in the store goes off and drowns the whole thing out. And again, like in Morristown, dead quiet, yell, every dog starts barking, yell, dead quiet. Whenever it yells for a couple of seconds, everything's quiet. The dogs don't bark. So that is something I think we've got to put in, because actually, like I said, we were listening to Bigfoot calls last night on YouTube because Dan hadn't heard one, and we were Dan hadn't heard one. He heard one now, but Dan ain't happy with it. He's like, those things sound absolutely freaking terrifying. Like, yeah, now imagine we're in the woods, we're in the middle of nowhere in the woods, beating on sticks trying to get its attention. Still sure you want that $1 million? Of course he wants the $1 million. Who doesn't want $1 million? That's the old joke they used to do with the Klondike. What would you do for a Klondike bar? I don't think you want to know what I would do for a Klondike bar, because I think if you did, you would probably never speak to me again. Like one of the things I love I get annoyed because it's like, come on, people, do you really have to ask? I get all these groups on Facebook that I'm part of, and a good chunk of the questions comes up with like, would you spend the night in the Exorcist's house for $10 million? Yes.
I'd spend the night anywhere for $10 million.
$10 million. I wouldn't only spend a night in the Exorcist's house. I'd spend a night with the demon in the Exorcist's house. I'd be like, you could have your little cot over there in the corner. You could lay down there. You go to bed. It'd be fine. Tomorrow morning, we part ways, and I get my $10 million.
Yeah, I like the one, the one where they show the big black dog-looking thing with the big fangs
at the bottom of the stairs. Yeah.
What would you do? Would you go down the stairs for $10 million? I said, yeah, I'll go down the stairs. I'll go down the stairs, shoot the dog, go collect my money.
That's what I was about to say. You'd be the only person to go down the stairs and come back up the stairs with $10 million and a new fur coat.
Yeah, because I'm going to run it through with a sword, or else I'm going to pop a cap in it. But it's demon dog, and I'm going to take it out one way or the other. You know,
somebody actually put that up. They joined one of the groups, and they put it up, and it's like, "Hi, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to join." And, just the normal blah blah and that, and he goes, and I want to say but I'd like to get a few things out of the way right off the bat. First off, yes, I would do that for $10 million. There's not a lot I wouldn't do for $10 million. Yes, I believe in this. No, I don't believe in this. No, and I hope that answers all your questions. And my favorite movie is this. My favorite horror movie is this. It's like I'm just putting it all out there.
A lot of those websites, some of those were really good to start with. They used to actually have content. They would ask questions about the paranormal and get answers and want feedback and have conversations about, well, could this be, how would this work or whatever. And now they've just gotten silly. I don't even look at them because it's a shame.
Well, some of them are still pretty good and they can be entertaining. Well, since we are down to Facebook groups and what we would do or wouldn't do for $10 million, which I think what we wouldn't do for $10 million is a very, very, very short list. And a very short list. Is there anything else you wanted to kind of throw out, or should I just plug it and get it, and we'll put this one put this one to bed tonight?
Well, I can't think of nothing since we're down to it. I'm working on something for a later show. I had an idea for something I want to do some research on. It's more into the conspiracy kind of thing, because I'm into that too. So everybody knows. I mean, we cover about everything. So I'm working on something a little bit, I think. I just started it, so I don't want to tell too much because I really haven't got anything done with it yet. But I'm going to be bringing some stuff, and I think you can go ahead and put in your shameless plugs for the night.
Well, since we've already got two of them in, I'll just kind of reiterate. If you would like to find the Paranormal NightStalker, of course, you can find us on Twitter, Google Hangouts, Google Plus and Google Hangouts, Facebook. Twitter is at NightStalkerPod. Google Plus, Google Hangouts is the Paranormal NightStalker, and Facebook is at NightStalkerPod. Of course, if you want to talk to us about anything we talked about, you can always message us on there or come and chat. We're also with PNBC, Paranormal North Coast, British Columbia. This is Michael and I's group that we are working with. We are findable on there. As again, website www.paranormalbc.com. Facebook page is at ParanormalBC, www.paranormalbc. Easy to get. That's for the website. Facebook is facebook.com ParanormalBC. If you go into your search bar, just put at ParanormalBC and it'll take you right there. Or for the NightStalker, of course, it's at NightStalkerPod. Now, if you want to listen to the NightStalker, since I can't exactly figure out how you're listening if you don't know where to find it, but anyway, I'll tell you everywhere we are. We are on Speaker, Podcast Addict, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube. Oh, I guess it is helpful in case you watch us on YouTube. Spotify, and a few other places I actually can't remember. I know we're actually on a couple, I think like 3 or 4 Spanish language ones.
Really? They translate for us, or how does that work?
I actually haven't downloaded it, so I don't know. I know the description and the name is all in Spanish. But yeah, there are Spanish podcast networks. So I think it's cool. Hola, señores. Or hola, señores and señoritas. Amigos. That's
the only Spanish I know is a burrito and a taco and like that. I don't do Spanish.
I used to actually be able to speak pretty good Spanish, conversational at least, and I can still do it a bit if you talk slow to me. I can usually make out. I might miss a word here or there, but I'll at least be able to conversationally talk. But yeah, because I used to be able to speak
Spanish. It's amazing you can talk in Spanish, because I know we both have a hard time with English some nights. But
yeah, well, like tonight. So, I well, I'm guessing with that we will sign off for the week. Of course, you can tune in next week. I don't exactly know what we're going to be doing, but I think we're going to be doing a special broadcast with psychic medium Sherry Peng, which is also a member of PNVC, host of Paranormal Horizons, medical Jiguang practitioner, and traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. So she's always fascinating. We love having her on. She's actually been co-hosting with us a couple of times here in the past little bit. But other than that, I say that's it for the week. And thanks for tuning in. We will be again live next Friday, and possibly we'll see where everything goes from there. Until then, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon.